So I'll just like to first welcome Dr. Ajay Pradhan, and I'm sure most of you would have already met him or heard about him. He's a master's and doctorate in water resource engineering and management, and he's got 3 decades of experience in planning and designing and implementing number of large infrastructure project. And he's currently the president and CEO of C2S2 Consulting Engineers. So without uh, talking too much about his other profile, I'd like to hand over to Mr. Ajay Pradhan.
Thank you, Chakrasji. Thank you. Good morning, friends, colleagues, and participants. Welcome to this webinar series. I'm really happy to have Caprica Technologies and my dear friend Chakrasji Jain, who is the chairman of the company, and also in partnership with Autodesk India. I think this is an excellent opportunity for our consulting fraternity professionals who would like to see the new technology and actually see this digital transformation happening in India. That's very important. So let me just give you briefly what is CEAI. CEAI is the Consulting Engineers Association of India, is the apex body of consulting engineers in India. It represents the Indian consulting and consultancy professionals at the International Federation of Consulting Engineers, which you otherwise known as a FIDIC, which is the FIDIC contracts and all. So CI is the voice of all consultants and consulting engineering companies, and it has a 60 years of accumulated knowledge and experience. So it has a number of members. It has contracting members, contractor companies, consulting companies, and individual companies as well. I think this initiative, I'm really again thankful to the Caprica Technologies, Sakriji, for kindly agreeing to partners and share the new technologies, especially the BIM, building information modeling in the civil engineering, because most of our engineering, if you look at in India, what we do in our membership, almost 60%, 50-60% dealing with the civil engineering. So this is very important. We have seen actually how 1D, 2D, now this is really digital transformation, and it's an intelligent system that we need to really look at. How flexibility, how it can help on the 4D like time or money, sustainability, and in also including the operation and management in assets. So those are the things which you can see, and BIM it's actually revolutionized the engineering sector. It's not only that, I believe that this also helps in understanding and delivering the projects from contractors or designer point of view, from contractor perspective, from client. It makes a very transparent system. So therefore I would see that this technology is going to go in a long way. I'm just wanted to mention you that in FIDIC, at international level at Geneva, we have been discussing that as many countries that already made a mandate that all the design engineers have to deliver their work in BIM. For example, Singapore, Denmark, and England, Britain, they have already given. So we need to come out quickly. We have already done a lot of work on the FIDIC contractual aspects for contract management and various other aspects. So therefore, I think this is going to help our fraternity, all members to understand how it can help and in a better way and implement. The only thing that I request Autodesk and Caprica Technologies to see that how best you can help our fraternity and companies, especially small consulting engineers, to adapt to this new system. With this, I thank you all, Chakrasji, for partnering with us and delivering this 4 sects like highways, bridges, and we are going to have on the water, wastewater, on the rails, and then last one would be on the energy, and especially focus on solar energy. I think with this, I'd say again, thank you and welcome.
So Ajay, dear friend, it's all our pleasure, and we in fact like to thank you for giving us this opportunity to present Autodesk technology to all our fraternity. So we are all, Vivek and myself are actually part of the fraternity. So we are from the same profession, although we have now kind of supporting the profession rather than practicing ourselves. So thank you very much. So next I'd like to invite Mr. Khandelwal, who is Associate Director in Consulting Engineer CEG Group. And I'm sure everyone is aware about the fantastic work which CEG Group has been doing in this sector to, from his own experience, share some of the wisdom and how all of us can benefit from the latest trends in the technology. So with that, I like to hand over to Mr. Khandelwal.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Uh, as we are aware of, in the BIM, all the stakeholders, maybe planning, design, architecture, people who are conceiving the project, who are doing the detailed design, as well as who are in the construction site, and also the client. Also from client side, the independent engineer or authority engineer, everybody interact on the virtual platform, so that visualization of the asset, roads and highways can be done in a better manner. And if any improvements are required, anybody can interact, give their suggestions, and client can manage all the activities of the project in a virtual manner. Not only during design and construction, but operation also, because you have got everything on the virtual platform. In time to come, the we can see the traffic operations, where are various issues coming up during the operation phase. Maybe some capacity problems, maybe some crash issues, road safety issues can also be visualized in time to come. Right now, it may not be there. And first of such large application is being done in the Mumbai-Nagpur Expressway, and client MSRDC is quite proactive in involving all the stakeholders with the BIM, and it was made essential in the bid documents to by the contractors, by the authority engineer, and various stakeholders, that they will have the experts on board in the team, so that everybody can use the way project will look like in virtual space. So it can be in 2D, 3D, or even 4D, so that every aspect can be visualized. And most important thing is that all aspects can happen in a time frame. Earlier, there were different silos, like design people working in different sector, different world. The people who are managing the project on CPM part, they were working in a different manner. The client and their account people or cash flow people were managing in a different way, but integrated efforts were not happening. And that is why physical meetings used to happen with every kind of stakeholders. So different kind of stakeholders become on one platform, and depending upon their level of interaction required, uh, uh, accessibility is defined by the vendor, so that everybody need not go into the each and every part of the project, but whatever is their role, whatever is their capability, whatever is their uh, requirement by the client. So accessibility to the different part of the software, different part of the BIM can be assigned, and passwords will be accordingly assigned. So not only further in the emergency situations, since you have got whole thing on virtual platform, you can better manage the disaster or any emergency situation with the project. And top level can visualize where and what has happened, what kind of incident has happened, and they can guide to different kind of people to manage the incident in a better manner. So with all these things, I feel that further micro level technical details will be deliberated in this webinar, and BIM will definitely break down silos and key element to pursue a better way of doing things for our clients across their entire business will happen. And the case study of Nagpur Mumbai Expressway and similar other projects will definitely create a coordinated different discipline people on a same platform, and extract information needed for facilities for managing the project in a better manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Khandelwal, for setting up the problem for us, statement for us. And that's exactly is the theme of our topic today, of the event today's connected BIM. So how can all of us collaborate together and work as you said, we have to break down these silos of information and make that entire information available to all of us, and how the overall design and the experience of the design, and finally how the better outcome comes. So thank you very much for highlighting, sharing some of the issues and what we need to do, and that's exactly what we are looking at presenting today. Thank you, sir. So I'll continue. So before I continue, I'll just like to, Vivek, is my screen visible? Yeah, okay, thank you. So, so before I continue, I'll just like to highlight some of the webinars functioning. So we have a Q&A box. Please, if you have any questions from the participant side, please feel free to write your questions and answers in the Q&A box, and we'll try and answer right on the spot, or at the end of the session, we will take up those questions and we'll try and answer. So I'll just, before I hand over to Mr. Vivek, I'll just like to highlight, as Capricorn, we have been into this business and helping all the engineers like yourself for more than 3 decades now. And with all that effort, we are serving more than 20,000 customers across the country. And we are Autodesk Platinum partner, and we are present across the country. So with that, I'd like to now invite Mr. Vivek Ramesh. Mr. Vivek is Senior Technical Specialist, especially for civil infrastructure, based out of Bangalore with Autodesk. And he's got more than 16 years of professional experience in this. So without speaking much, I'll just like to hand over to Mr. Vivek for his presentation.
Thank you, Chakreshji, and thank you, Khandelwalji, for setting the context right. So let me share my screen. I hope you're able to see my screen now.
Yes, please.
Yeah,
Yes,
and for the sake of bandwidth, I'll probably keep my video off. Okay. So good morning, everyone, and I thank each and every one of you for having made time today for today's webinar on Connected BIM for Roads and Highways. I'm Vivek Ramesh, a Senior Technical Specialist with Autodesk who handles civil infrastructure. So as in today's topics, we will cover the overview of the infrastructure space itself. What are the challenges? What kind of projects we can expect? What is the quantum of projects we can expect in the infrastructure space? And there will be a process-wise breakup of roads and highways design in a connected workflow basis. Survey, planning and concept design, detailed design. Then we'll move to virtual design and construction. And then the most important piece of connecting the BIM together, collaboration and coordination. And of course, we'll also see some customer testimonials as well. So I hope all of you are aware of who Autodesk is. Autodesk is a company that helps designers, engineers, architects make whatever they need to, whether it's automotive space, whether it's architectural space, whether it's a civil engineering space, or for that matter, media and entertainment space. We have solutions for each and every industry vertical, right? So coming to the infrastructure space itself, in today's date, all of you know that infrastructure is extremely costly to conceive and develop, right? And also maintain. And given the nature of urbanization in today's date, we are getting extremely complex projects to meet this demand, right? And also, at the same time, what about the infrastructure that was previously built? It is aging faster than we think it is, right? And we need to have a solution to quickly churn out designs to manage the kind of demands coming in from the urbanization. So a little about the industry itself. According to a survey, it is noted that compared to all other industries, non-farm business labor productivity industries, and compare that to a construction labor productivity, there is a drop of about 153% over 50 years. That means construction productivity has remained neutral, or in fact is reducing, owing to various reasons. So we'll see how that, why that is the case, right? This is because construction is investing, or a civil infrastructure industry is investing a lot less on technology than other industries in the same space. So for example, manufacturing industry is investing about 3.3%, whereas we are only at about 1.2%. So given the 5-year construction output forecast, it is noted that rail, roads, and airports will take the main stage, and our 50% out of that, or the lion's share, will belong to that of roads and highways, which is about $5.2 trillion worth of projects which will be coming our way. And this creates an excessive demand in the way a project needs to be conceived, projects need to be constructed, and so on and so forth. So we need to step it up. And relying on or moving to digital construction methodologies or design methodologies, or entirely digitizing your work process for the design and construction is estimated to save about $1.2 trillion worth of money for the contractors and designers, owners alike. So what is the buzzword here? Of course, I'm sure most of the participants on this call have used BIM in one way or the other. I don't want to re-emphasize that, but of course, it is what is BIM for us from an infrastructure standpoint? It is a 3D model-based design which provides better design efficiency, right? So that's the one. 3D forms the crux of BIM. So let's understand that. And while we come to the topic of connected BIM, right, for infrastructure, what is it about? Connected, you conceive 3 different stages of any infrastructure life cycle: design, build, and operate. It needs to happen on a central model. Every stage of the design phase has to use the same design model from the word go, right? That means at the design stage, if a design model is used, it needs to be used for the same model needs to be leveraged for construction. And also during the operate stage, the exact same model needs to be leveraged for operation and maintenance. So if this doesn't happen, if we don't enrich the model throughout the life cycle of the design project, design life cycle, it is not considered to be connected BIM. Okay, so we need to have a central model. And also there are various other things, advancements in the industries that we as roads and highway design consultants and owners or contractors need to know about. And I'm sure many of you are aware of some of the latest offerings in the industry, such as high definition surveying, LiDAR. I'm sure most of the projects are now, everybody knows about LiDAR survey or, photogrammetry. And there are also machine learning applications to accelerate designs. I'll show you a glimpse of what that is about. And industrialization of construction. There is a convergence of the AEC industry and the manufacturing industry for quicker construction. And of course, digital collaboration. What we saw this piece as the biggest piece of worry in the construction sector, wherein, like Khandelwal sir said, everybody is working in silos, more so the contractors, because they are relying on hard copies on site. They are not digitizing or leveraging the digital data, right? And the Internet of Things and advanced analytics, like he said, we also need to use the same model for operations and maintenance. We need to leverage or set the platform of the 3D model to be able to be used for operations and maintenance. So what's in it for owners, operators, designers, engineers, and contractors alike? So we did a small survey, and we found out that these were the major benefits out of moving to a completely BIM-oriented workflow. So most of them felt that there were fewer errors. 33% felt that, and greater cost predictability, which is great for everybody in the project lifecycle, all the stakeholders. Better understanding of the project, yes, for quicker conceiving of the project and also construction, and an improved schedule, which is great, which is good again. So all of these were some of the benefits that people saw in the construction AEC sector, especially for infrastructure. So what were the business challenges when it comes to, let us talk about a little on the design and engineering or consulting space and the contractor space. What were the business challenges? Some of the challenges were winning and retaining work. Obviously that is number one on the chart. And expanding billable service. Are you limited to whatever's given to you? Is it only design? Are you not spanning out into operation and maintenance? Can you bill your client for that? Right? Things like this. And also increasing project complexity is leading people to rely more and more on technology. So project complexity is increasing, so thereby the design time and of course the reliance on various other design software. And of course, hiring and retention of talent. If you were to ask new talent that is coming into your firms, whether it's owner operator, design consultancies or contractors, they would want to work on state-of-the-art technology. So this is one of the challenges. So in relation to that, let us see what the benefits BIM could offer to you, right? You always have this competitive advantage over your competitors if you use a multitude of products and also rely on a BIM-based workflow, right? So that definitely is a plus. And increased profitability. As you saw in the earlier slide, you saw that cost predictability was good. Timelines and schedules could be met, thereby increasing the profitability for an organization. And a lot less business risk, right? On site, say for example, at your office, there are a lot less business risk when it comes to change management and so on. And of course, hiring and retention, as you are looking at the latest and greatest in technologies for roads and highways design, your staff will be content in terms of the usage of technology. So I believe most of you agree with me when I say if it's an infrastructure model, if it's a roadway model, it is a combination of various disciplines. It is not, if it's a road model, it's just not a road model. It has a lot of things such as survey data, geospatial data is coming in, civil designs are coming in. You need to assess the utilities that are crossing your roadway model. There are structural elements such as bridges, culverts, tunnels, and so on. There are also reality capture element aspects that you need to see for retrofitments, especially in the urban scape. And also there's, there's automated machine guiding, there's 5D project scheduling, a lot of things, right? Even the visualizations of projects that you see for infrastructure are all based on 3D models, right? So all of this is combined to form a single infrastructure model, right? So going to the very first stage of design, what have we to offer, right? What does Autodesk have to offer in terms of technology? So if I were to split the process of design roads and highways into 4 different stages, it would be survey, planning and concept design, detailed design, and virtual design and construction. Not even take into consideration the aspect of collaboration at this moment. I'll expand on it later. So obviously, converting high precision surveys to detailed topographic data, yes, I talked about LiDAR data or photogrammetric data. You can get those things into Civil 3D. This was the typical way in which people used to bring in survey data, right? So for those of you who are still on AutoCAD and rely on AutoCAD to bring in survey data from total stations, the Civil 3D definitely will be a blessing because it accelerates several steps in your survey data import, right? So while this was a conventional survey, there are also other means by which you can import survey data. So in this case, say for example, you're doing a preliminary engineering survey and you just have a drone with you. Rather than relying on surveyors entirely for several days to capture the information on the site, you can just fly a drone over that, take some high definition photographs and stitch it like a panoramic image, 3D panoramic image, and bring it into interfaces such as InfraWorks. So this gives a great deal of accuracy. This gives a great deal of flexibility to the designers and engineers, surveyors alike, right? So if you're doing preliminary level studies, definitely this is the way to go, right? Rely on photogrammetry, convert that into mesh models and use it in your design. I'm sure this will give you a greater cost predictability while you're bidding for projects. So while we talk about photogrammetry, what is more accurate than photogrammetry, I believe, would be mobile LiDAR capture, right? So how are we capturing? Again, use fly drones or mobile aerial devices to capture LiDAR information, and you have interfaces such as InfraWorks, which can bring in LiDAR information, and there's a whole lot deal that you can do. Khandelwal sir said about predicting traffic for a particular city model, right? You can do that, okay, with the kind of surface that you're generating or the models that you're generating. And what's more important is from an existing condition standpoint, you can capture a lot of features such as feature lines, brake lines from the model, right from the mobile LiDAR data capture as well. So this gives more accuracy to the designers that take this data into their detailed design process, right? So this is one other aspect. And coming to the next step, which is conceptual design, we talked about survey in terms of typical DGPS or total station surveys, photogrammetry, and LiDAR data, how it can be utilized. Now let us come into the next phase, which is the conceptual design stage, right? So what do you do in the conceptual stage? And while I was working for a design firm before Autodesk, we used to, crave for a concept modeling tool such as InfraWorks to be able to generate options, design alternatives, engineering options, right? And also, we were not able to connect the piece of, like Sir said, various pieces like bridges, roads. Are we looking at traffic capacity building for that particular road? All of this couldn't have happened on a single model, okay? And also, clients always believe in conceptualizing the project rather than looking at just 2D depictions of your design idea, right? So to this process, of course, we welcome. I mean, InfraWorks has been a really, really popular tool for over the last few years, and probably this is the easiest and probably the most intuitive of tools when it comes to roads and highways design. It considers a lot of objects. The first and the foremost, you can bring in your study area onto your desktop and start churning out or sketching out literally your design, right? If you're a project manager, if you're heading a particular infrastructure consultancy, sketch out the design ideas and give it to designers who can translate your design ideas into actual detailed design. So this can happen using InfraWorks, right? And coming to roadway design alone, as I told you, I always crave for a conceptual design model which was constructible, which was practical. Now, taking into consideration the existing conditions, whether it's terrain, whether it's the aerial imagery, or whether it is GIS data that underlies the particular project area, it is very important to see how your design ideas fit into the existing environment. That is more key. And just by looking at this, clients can assess whether a project is viable or not. You don't even need to rely on any 3D models. And also, the best part about having design tools like InfraWorks is it is an intelligent model. It gives you volumes, whether it is for roads, whether it is for utilities, whether it is for structures. It gives you the volumes so that you can know the kind of cost that will be incurred for that particular option, right? So, and what's more, everybody in today's date wants to see the animation or actual 3D model of the project even before it is built, because a lot is at stake for them, right? You can rely on InfraWorks for this, for optimizing your design at the initial stages, and then pushing into detailed design and just tweaking the designs a little bit here and there. So that itself saves a lot of time. Most of the people believe that convincing a customer on design alternatives is the toughest part. And design changes when it comes from clients to and fro. It takes away a lot of time. I've heard people saying that they've lost about 15 to 20% of their project time only to design revisions, which is not paid for in the India scenario, right? So we don't account for design changes or we don't bill it. So InfraWorks use lock on to the design alternatives that has been suggested by the client and then go ahead with the design. This will in turn increase your profitability in the way you work on projects, right? So that is one aspect of it. And of course, there's another thing called on the model, you can develop a lot of analysis, whether it's hydraulic, whether it's traffic, whether it's multimodal simulations. All of this can be done to assess the viability of your road project, right? And the ease of which you can develop preliminary design and outputs for your can be really quick. It's almost instantaneous. Coming to the next aspect, that is drainage design. I'm sure all of you on this call are, have faced this issue of, having the least number of structures along a particular highway, because structures increase the cost. So obviously, if you want to see a design alternative, it is also key to note how many CD structures you will require along the infrastructure project, road and highway project that you are working on. How many culverts do you need? How many bridges do you need? Right? How many tunnels do you need? All of this needs to be assessed. And whatever the software could give you, the locations in which everywhere you need a 3D structure, right? The software itself will give you, like InfraWorks, will identify the outfall areas across your corridors, and it will allow you to develop, surface drainage designs on the go as well, right? Whether it's box culverts, pipe culverts, whether it's bridges, it will allow you to assess the viability of that particular 3D structure. And one other thing that I may not show here is for bridges, there is something called as flood simulation. You can see the proliferation of water along the linear waterway, and you can see whether your bridge design is sufficient or not, the length of the bridge or the height of the bridge is sufficient or not in terms of the water that is flowing through a water channel, right? So that is one good thing. And the second thing is, the next thing is bridge design. So as I told you earlier, we always struggled. I mean, when I was working with a design consultant, as Khandelwal sir said, we were working in silos. I completely accept that. Bridge engineers and highway engineers never used to interact on a regular basis, and our designs would never reach to them in time, right? We never had a common platform to share data. So our design ideas or design thoughts would never come across to bridge engineers. And so in this case, say for example, a highway engineer develops a road alignment in a particular way. A bridge engineer can come in and develop a concept level model of a bridge instantaneously. Whether he can also fine tune the designs using the InfraWorks also gives you an option of working out of spreadsheets. Your design can be translated into spreadsheets, and you can edit the values to see the changes. And anything in the bridge design, whether it's bridges, girders, piers, or pier caps, everything can be customized at the concept level design itself. What more do you need? I mean, if your design is more or less ready in terms of design, right at the conceptual stage, I think during the design stage, you can accelerate things and fine tune things to better suit your design requirements. And also for civil engineers or highway engineers, it was a challenge to bring in structural elements onto the plan profile or plan production drawings, whether it's the 3D model itself, whether it's plan view, profile view, or cross-sectional view. It was very difficult to excuse me. It was very difficult to bring in the structures. Now it is instantaneous. You can just plonk the design, your structural design inside of Civil 3D from InfraWorks. Right now, what would be the next stage in design? Now that would be preliminary and detailed design stage. What do we expect to do in the detailed design stage is, basically, as I told you earlier, for BIM, 3D modeling would be at the heart of your BIM process, right? So if you used dynamic software, like it understands the changes you make in the entire process, and it adjusts to the changes that you've made. For example, I'm quoting Civil 3D. If you change the alignment, the profile changes. If you change the alignment and profile, the corridor changes accordingly. Things like that. There's a lot of things that can be offered in connected design workflows, right? So Civil 3D is an entirely BIM platform for a fully developed BIM platform for roads and highways, and also a very well interconnected BIM tool. Okay, and also not only the design, you will also have to take care of various aspects of design validation as well that can be done within Civil 3D. So as I said, Civil 3D is a completely model-based design. Whether you're bringing your designs from InfraWorks or starting off your designs from within Civil 3D, you have the flexibility to bring in each and every aspect of design inside the design model. Whether it is land use pattern GIS, whether it is existing utilities that are there around your project, all of this can be brought in, including the aerial map, to better fine-tune a project to suit that context, right? And as it is a model-based design, everything that you develop is actually getting developed in 3D. The volumes are getting changed. The model itself is getting changed according to whatever design changes you tweak inside the model. And once you've developed the design model itself, as I was talking about connected design, right? When we talk about connected design, what do I do with this 3D model? So there are many other aspects that people consider in today's date. Based on the 3D model itself, I can develop several automated tasks using tools like Dynamo. As you saw in the earlier video there, let me play it again towards the end. You see, you can automate the creation of various city furniture such as railings, signposts, gantries, lampposts, and all of this can be automated and can be placed on the BIM model in one single click. So this is also possible using when you're developing connected models, a BIM-based workflow models, right? And there's also a lot of enhancements that we see in Autodesk today when it comes to infrastructure design. Now, I specifically talk on the connected alignment feature of Civil 3D, in which now in this case, many people find it laborious to develop alignments and profiles for interchange models, right? So in interchange models, you have the capability, have an option of connected design between two alignments. You can develop spirals, circular curves, or combination of both to develop ramps, exit entry ramps, or for that matter, the actual takeoff ramps as well. This is a classic example of a clover leaf. As you can see, it takes two alignments into consideration. It also matches, why we call it as connected alignments is it also matches the profiles. Alignment 1 and alignment 2, it matches the vertical geometry as well. So what better can it be? Your design is already half saved when you are matching alignments and profiles, right? So this is a very quick way to develop your design. And obviously the rest of the things would be to fine tune your corridors with respect to the cross section that you develop for this kind of design. So why I emphasize on this is connected workflows, whether it is between the software or within the software, everything is interconnected. You change the alignment, the profile changes accordingly. You change any one part of the alignment, the loops get rearranged automatically. All of this can happen. So, I mean, if you remember, I talked a little bit on machine learning, right? Now, with the advent of Civil 3D 2022, you have the option of optimization of design. Now, for those of you who are working on smart city projects and you are working on large areas that need to be developed, internal roads, external roads, you can fine tune the land grading part of it. Now, this is a classic case of plot development, right? So leave it to the software. Imagine this kind of plot development or grading would take me any day in excess of 2 days. So imagine the software generating the design options based on the parameters that you're giving and developing the plots and the internal roads to optimize the design, right? And it gives you an optimized output. And you can also see various design outputs that the software gives. This also is true for classic cases like, bridge abutment, grading. So during the bridge abutment, you need a certain fill for the abutment area. You just select a boundary around the abutment areas and have the software evaluate what is the best suited grading pattern for that particular grading area. And this can be optimized for landfill. I'm sure landfill is a lot less calculated than it is in today's date. Now, with Civil 3D, you can definitely achieve all of this using machine learning. Now, Civil 3D also has machine learning inbuilt, which is called grading optimization tool. Okay, so as I told you about connected design, right? Okay, how do I relate to connected design now? Documentation is one of the most important aspects when it comes to connected design. So if you have developed the model, why leave the onus on the draft persons to develop your cross sections, plan profiles, and all? What if the tool itself could develop plans, profiles, and cross sections automatically based on the template that you want? So Civil 3D, this was one of the greatest strengths of Civil 3D years ago. This was one of the first features that was developed and still is getting fine-tuned every now and then, every year, to suit the needs of our customers, right? So this is also a very good aspect in terms of connected design. So when it comes to a bridge design, right, we saw a simple swipe that created a bridge, but there is a lot more to bridge design in the design stage. Whether you bring your InfraWorks models into Revit, it's one click, it moves into Revit. If you change your design inside of InfraWorks here, it notifies. Like if you remember Khandelwal sir saying, it is not notifying people. They work in silos, they don't know what changes are happening. So if any change happens on one model, one software, immediately when you open the other software or the person who's working on design detailing of that particular structure, the notification goes to him right within the software saying that this bridge design has been changed. Do you want to update or not? Yes, he wants to update. It instantly happens. Out of this, you can, based on these changes, you can make changes on your GADs, your section views, your profile views, and so on. And similar thing happens in Civil 3D as well. If you design bridges using InfraWorks and you change the design in InfraWorks, if any changes happen, it pops up a window saying that design has been changed. Do you want to update the model? This is a great deal for engineers alike, right? So for bridge design, we consider InfraWorks to be the core of bridge design, around which various software are netted. Say for example, we use Autodesk Inventor for customizing bridge parts like abutments, bridge decks, and so on. Civil 3D for the alignments and profiles and so on, right? So right within the InfraWorks module, you will be able to ready the model for structural analysis as well. For FEM-based analysis, you have something called as Autodesk Structural Bridge Design. It prepares your model readily to be brought into structural design modules known as Structural Bridge Design, and you can visually, numerically and visually take care of the design. Once the model has been brought in, it's a simple matter of running analysis on top of it. So whether it's visual or numerical, you can see the results for yourself on Autodesk Structural Bridge Design, right? So this is the connection. So you see the connection happening in BIM. You develop a 3D model, you're pushing into another model. I'm not wasting any time, in exchanging data between various software. Okay, then you can get into optimization of girders here using structural bridge design and so on. So this is a typical workflow of bridges when it comes to Autodesk solutions. So please have an idea of what this is about. So InfraWorks will still be at the helm of bridge design, supported by various other products. Right. So coming to one of the last parts, I hope I'm on time. Okay. So coming to the last part of it, which is virtual design and construction, Sir talked about 4D, 5D simulations, and we consider as once you develop your 3D model in Civil 3D, it was always 5D was always taken care of. right? Cost was always taken care of because it's a byproduct of your 3D model. But 4D was largely remaining. And we have software such as Navisworks to develop, timeline simulations, or for that matter, clash detection. And as I told you earlier, a road model is actually a multidisciplinary model. It contains utilities, it contains roads, it contains structures. So we should see a clash-free model before it even gets to site, because changes at site can be very expensive. So Navisworks is one tool that allows you to make the design changes even before it reaches the site. So this is a great deal for all the contractors, and most of the contractors do design coordination even before they jump onto construction, right? And also timelining, right? By using Navisworks or a combination of other various other products in the Autodesk portfolio, you can see the project timeline as it is, because BIM model, it understands every aspect of your BIM model, whether it is your BC, DBM, WMM, or GSP, or subgrade. It can simulate the construction of each and every layer in a timelined manner based on the Gantt chart that you prepared, whether you want to link it to Primavera, MS Project. You can link your design models to anything and then see the timelining of the same. So coming to collaboration and coordination, like Sir was saying, you need a single platform or a virtual platform on which everybody, all the stakeholders of the project, need to work. So this definitely is one of the best things that is, the lines that you have said. So yes, we need to establish our design models, whether it is roads, highways, or bridges, on a common data environment, or you can consider this as your shared drive on the cloud. Shared drive on the cloud, where anybody can access any file at any given point of time. Access your files anytime, anywhere, whether it's the owners, whether it's the designers, whether it's the engineers, or whether it's the contractors. They should be able to access and mention the changes required right on a central model, right? So this is possible when you establish your designs or store your designs on a common data environment platform such as Autodesk Docs, and you can collaborate with various team members, whether it's surveyors, whether it's designers, whether it's drafters or structural engineers or bridge engineers. You can work out of the same model at the same time. And there's also one other thing that I was saying was permissions, right? You don't need to give permissions to everybody in the project. You can control the access of control. You can control the access to the files based on the profile of that person, right? All of this can happen using Autodesk BIM Collaborate Pro. The three main takeaways from BIM Collaborate Pro would be better collaboration, better communication in the project, and of course, better project collaboration. If you can see the collaboration, Civil 3D collaboration on its own as this will be the typical interface. It'll be just like accessing your, any cloud storage system, whether it's Google Drive, OneBox, whatever. So the only change is this has been made with design data in mind. This has been made with the various personas inside in the AEC industry in mind, right? So you can collaborate, you can coordinate based on a central design file. So if a project manager wants to see the changes occurring in the project, say whether it's version 1 to version 2, he wants to see the difference of what design changes have been made. He can instantly go into the cloud platform and have a look at what changes have been made, right? So see, if you see this, the swipe that you see there, the design changes can be seen instantly, whether it's option 1 or option 2. You can change or revert to whichever version you want on the go as well. That is the beauty of it. And if there's any particular comment that a project manager or higher up wants to make on a particular project, he doesn't even need to open the project. The software. He just needs to go and log into this BIM 360 Collaborate Pro, mark the changes, send it to the designer. He can assign that changes to a specific person, and he gets a notification saying that this person has requested for this change. How are you doing it? There's an issue in this design. Have you resolved this issue? All of this can happen. And on the cloud itself, you can have a lot of model coordinations as well on the go. This is particularly important for BIM coordinators. They can bring all the models together with electrical, whether it's structural, whether it's in a linear design. You can bring it and have a look at this. Last but not the least, we also need to understand how this connected BIM workflows work and what software would be required during the course of the project, right? As I told you, you need to establish the entire project on BIM Collaborate Pro, which forms the foundation, okay? And then from the survey onwards, you use survey to planning and concept design, you use InfraWorks, a combination of recap as well, as you saw for LiDAR data. You use Civil 3D for documentation, 3ds Max for visualization. If you're bidding for projects, definitely that will be helpful. During detailed design, of course, the hero products come into the picture. The hero products are Civil 3D for road design, Revit for detailing out your structural design, such as bridges, tunnels, culverts, and so on. Dynamo for placing city furniture, automating city furniture on your device. On your model, and Autodesk vehicle tracking to do design validation, swept path analysis. I'm sure you would have heard about auto turn, auto track, things like that is called swept path analysis. And then coming to virtual design, you only need two aspects. If you're monitoring progress of the project, you need Recap Pro to superimpose it on your design model to see the progress, or you need Navisworks to develop timelining for your project as well. So that can happen. I hope that is clear. So some of the customer stories, I really don't want you to get into the details of the customer stories or who the customer is, but I just want to draw your attention to the last part of the text that has been written at the bottom of this slide. Improved existing condition capture of tunnels. Okay, improved quality and efficiency. So these are some of the takeaways that customers look or want in their day-to-day life. Improved project coordination and construction planning. How great it is if a customer is saying this, all of this, if he has inculcated BIM workflows in their day-to-day design. And also there's another thing, if you just see the bottom of it and so have a look at the video that's staying at the top. They say 33% reduction in design time and cost. That is phenomenal in an industry which has got one of the least profitable profit margins in the world. If they save 33% reduction in design time, that means 30% more can be used for other projects. Sustainable design helps in saving time and money. That's a great deal. And cloud-based models help avoid construction issues. Everything translates to cost saving or improved profitability. So connected design can lead you to all of this. And of course, the third one would be Clark County, Washington, PWD, where if you see quick redesign of interchange with 3D modeling, minimize conflicts, and improve quality with cross-discipline design, so on and so forth, right? And improved construction planning. These are all benefits that offer. And of course, this was one of the very first projects we saw entirely done on BIM, right from concept to commissioning, right, by WSP. So obviously, improved early stage alternatives, help speed approvals. See, this is key for any design engineering firm, right? And improved construction simulation with respect to 4D, 5D, right? All of this are some of the advantages. So now with that, I come to the end of my presentation. I'm open to taking questions now. We have about 5 minutes before I take questions. I hope I clearly explained the connected nature of BIM in today's date and what people are using in today's date for design and development. So yeah, with that, I also want to leave you with the word saying that the operation maintenance piece, which both talked about, will be an area to look out for. Stay tuned for more from Autodesk and Cape Record on operation and maintenance piece. We'll come back to you with another presentation on that.
Thank you, Ramesh. Thank you, Vivek. There are a lot of questions. So in the interest of time, I'll try and see. I think some of the questions you have already answered during your presentation. So I'll just quickly probably skip some of them, but still, like Abhishek asked, what is the scope of BIM in road and highway? I think that's been covered up. How is the construction documentation handled in BIM environment? Do you want to elaborate? I think you
Yeah.
did for that.
Yeah, I did elaborate. Yeah,
So
construction
Mr.
document.
had asked for this. Then Pawan has asked how the how the topography survey carried out for aerial or physical, and how this collective data implemented in BIM. Mr. Khandelwal, I'll also request you to, from your experience of the actual execution of the project, if you would like to address some of these questions, please feel free to add from your own experience onto this. So do you want to take this question, Vivek?
Yeah, sure. I can take this up. So let me take it one by one. Let's make it quick. I believe there are about 7 questions. I should still be able to cover that.
So Vivek, maybe just
okay. Just construction. So I'll start from the person with my name itself. Vivek Pimple has asked me.
Okay.
How the construction document handles in BIM environment. See, Vivek, as I told you, construction documents are a byproduct of the 3D model, which reside on a BIM environment. So it handles perfectly all right. There is no limitation to the number of documents you want, which are generated from the 3D model, which resides in the common data environment or the cloud environment, right? So whether it is your plan, plan profile sheets or cross-section sheets, that is plan production sheets, basically, all of them can be automatically generated and stored in the BIM environment. Second thing is how the topography survey from Pawan is how topography survey is carried out for aerial or physical, how this collective data is implemented in BIM. See, Pawan, as I told you in my presentation itself, the topographic survey, if you want a typical total station survey, DGPS survey, it can be carried out by various machineries, and there are automated methods inside of Civil 3D to automate the import of points and feature lines that you have carried out. Say road edges, building edges, all of this line work can be automated in Civil 3D if you develop a specific code for that. And aerially or physically, it depends. I mean, whether you're using your device to survey aerial imagery or LiDAR information, depends on what level of accuracy you need for your survey data. You can capture them using a drone, for example, and then this can be brought into software such as Recap, which reduces the LiDAR information or photogrammetric information by 1/20th of the size. And then you can push it into design models such as InfraWorks. That is how the process is actually. So that is the first step in BIM, in fact. Okay, and then I think the second one would be.
Vivek, we move to next question. If you can just stop sharing your screen probably and maybe switch on your camera, it will make it more.
Sorry. I didn't realize.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So
I can take the questions. Okay, just a minute. Just a minute, please. I'm just overrunning the other meeting. Okay. So, okay, then I'll just choose some of the questions that we can take up here. How can an architecture student move forward in the design part of roads and highways using BIM environment? Well, the first step should be InfraWorks, Dhruv. Okay. So Gaurav also asked India upcoming 2022 BIM highway project, which ones? Well, I'll have to find out about that. At the immediate outset, I don't have any information on that. Gaurav, we can reach out to you later.
There are a lot of government websites where they can
find the information.
Yes.
National infrastructure, NIP also gives you a lot of information. And NIP, there's a website for NIP that gives you an information. Probably Khandelwal sir can also provide some options if he has. And then Vinayak also asked, how do you compare Autodesk BIM with Bentley's Open Roads? Why should I prefer Civil 3D over Open Roads as a startup? Well, see, every software has its own pluses and minuses. Our major advantage is in the modeling space, right? BIM, as I told you, at the crux of BIM are the 3D models and also the interconnectivity it holds with the other software. From a BIM workflow standpoint, definitely is one of the reasons why you should consider Civil 3D. And of course, Civil 3D itself being a connected BIM kind of a platform, right from the get-go, it should make things simpler for you. To what percentages are quantities derived from models reliable and accurate? Anup, all of the design and derived 3D model design derived derivatives, as I want to call it, are 100% accurate. Whatever you design, what you see is what you get, right? So there's no change in that. So what software is used for tunneling?
Here I would like to add that since earlier some of the designs might not have been updated or integrated, like some changes have taken place in plan and profile, structures might not have been done, or earthwork calculations have been done earlier, and re-evaluation might not have been done. But now since it is well connected, so any moment you can get updated quantities with respect to latest highway features, structure features, or any slope protection measures or landslide measures. So everything gets updated, and the quantities can be anytime updated and compared with what is the construction quantities going on. So client has a liberty to control the budget, and anytime it can they can decide upon with respect to their budget versus what is going on about the quantities and cost.
Absolutely, sir. I mean, that's really spot on. Thanks for that. So which software is used for tunneling? Ideally, I would say a combination of InfraWorks and Revit would be used for tunneling projects. Because Civil 3D would always help with the alignment and profile for that tunnel, right? So Umesh is asking, one more software is available by name Structural Bridge Design, how it can be used in projects. Structural Bridge Design, as the name suggests itself, it is primarily for bridge design, FEM analysis for bridges. So that's how it can be used. So I'm just rushing through the questions. Can finished surface developed through Civil 3D be published in Revit without using BIM 360? It can also be used, with BIM 360 or without BIM 360, it is possible to share Civil 3D surfaces into Revit. It can either go as a DWG or it can go as a solid model into Revit. So Anand is asking, do we extract surface data from InfraWorks through RCS or Model Builder? No. If the data coming in from InfraWorks is from Bing Maps, which in turn takes it from USGS, US Geological Survey site. So how to input underground or overhead utilities in corridors, input file format. So through Excel, you can do it mostly. He is asking underground utility. If you're talking about pipe networks, Civil 3D is used for pipe networks. Overhead utilities such as gantries, lampposts, and so on can be placed as blocks through Excel file formats as well. Okay. Is there dynamic connection between InfraWorks to Navisworks? InfraWorks to Navisworks, there is no direct connect, similar to InfraWorks and Navis. What about InfraWorks and Civil 3D? InfraWorks and Civil 3D, there is a separate tab in Civil 3D that imports InfraWorks data. There's just a one-click button. Mintu is asking how to open Revit file in Civil 3D as both are different file types. See, Revit files in Civil 3D, you will have to use various other formats such as, you can bring it in the form of FBX, but I wouldn't suggest bringing in Revit file to Civil 3D. Rather, Civil 3D file can go to Revit. It has more applications there. Which companies in India are adopting the software? There are multiple companies that are using into, our solutions in today's date from a BIM perspective. L&T being the first and foremost. Almost all the design verticals in L&T are using it. You name Atkins, you name Arcade.
So from CEG themselves are a big user of these.
Yeah. And also design customization is allowed in the form input file like mx.geo. I didn't get that mostly, actually. I didn't get that question. So let that be. Design customization is allowed in the form input file. Well, I mean, we support XML files. We also have we also have a plugin that brings in MX files as well into Civil 3D. It's called Genio Import Export Utility. Yeah, Genio, it's a Genio Import Export Utility. You can search it on the web. It is available as a plugin for Civil 3D. It brings in MX strings as well. So with that, I think I come to the end of the presentation. I think I'll have to jump off to another call. I sincerely thank Khandelwal sir for the insight that is
Oh,
provided
yeah.
and Chakraji for moderating this.
So Vivek, before we end, just a few more things. First of all, I like to remind all the participants that today is an infra day for us. And after this, at 12 o'clock, we have an event on rail. At 2 o'clock, we have on water and wastewater. And at 4 o'clock, we have solar project. If any participant is interested, please feel free to join for that. And before we end, just few more seconds, I'll just like to run a poll. So Shweta, if you like to run a poll, we like, because a lot of questions are coming and we want all of those to be answered. So if you are interested in any questions, please answer this simple poll that do you want us to have a more detailed presentation for your organization? If you are interested, you can just say yes. We will then connect with you and then we can have a more detailed presentation very specifically for your organization. So, yeah, Shweta. So quickly, if we can just say yes or not interested right now. So Shweta, let us know when this will be closed.
I'll just close it in 3 seconds.
Okay.
I'm closing the poll now.
Thank you. So we have got your interest captured and we will contact you back. And if any more information is required, please reach out to us at connect@capricorn.com. And with that, I like to thank all the participants, and we consistently had more than 100 participants regularly throughout. And with that, I like to also invite Mr. Khandelwal to say a few words about the overall presentations. So Vivek, if you are running out of time.
Yeah, I know. I'll stay through this. I want to hear Khandelwal. Yeah.
Since all of us time is important, I can only say that frequent programs like this should happen not only with Civil 3D but other people also who have got different kind of software on BIM. So
Yes.
I think CEAI can take lead so that everybody can understand that it is a usual design process, but only thing various softwares are connected through BIM and we can work on the virtual platform instead of in different silos. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Khandelwal. And I like to thank all the participants